Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Going down this weekend, we got here for the WBA welterweight title. We got Rolly Romero taking on Teofimo Lopez. I like this fight a lot. I think it's a pretty interesting fight on paper. Before we get any further into the video, you guys, make sure you guys go in there, hit that like and subscribe button, turn on notifications when you guys do want to see when I upload the videos. Let me know down below in the comments who do you guys think wins between Rolly Romero and Teofimo Lopez. And without any further ado, we will jump right into the video. So, if we look at Rolly Romero's last fight, going out there dominating Ryan Garcia, I think that was a very impressive performance. Honestly, one of the biggest upsets of the year of 2025. But I want to take a look at what I saw in those early rounds. In those first 3 rounds, like the first 4 rounds, I thought the first round, 3rd round, and 4th round, Ryan Garcia kind of had Rolly Romero. I think the only round, that Garcia didn't really had was when he did get dropped. And when he did get dropped, I think Ryan Garcia was definitely trying to survive the rest of the round because he got dropped. And that was actually a very nasty shot that landed from Rolly Romero that actually kind of surprised me. But I think what Ryan Garcia did good in those early rounds with Rolly Romero was the double jab. He managed to step in with that double jab and kind of trick Rolly Romero, and it was giving him some trouble. I think eventually the power kind of started getting to Ryan Garcia towards the fifth, all the way to the 12th round. I think what went wrong for Garcia was that Garcia was just was absorbing a lot of shots from Romero, and since Romero hits very hard, he kind of was getting affected by it. He managed to survive the rest of the 12 rounds, but I just think that Rolly Romero was kind of having the better of him towards those later rounds. Now, Teofimo's last fight against Shakur Stevenson didn't go as planned. He got dominated for 12 rounds straight. I think a few of the judges gave it 11 rounds to 1, but in reality, man, that was a 12-0 match, man. Teo was just getting dominated, and it wasn't a good night. But listen, Shakur Stevenson and Rolly Romero are 2 completely different styles and on 2 different levels, man. I know Rolly's elite, but I don't think Rolly would have that better success like how Teofimo did against Shakur Stevenson. Now, I think what Teo did wrong, because I did predict Teo to win, which unfortunately didn't get correct. But I think what Teo kind of did wrong coming into the fight was that he wasn't playing his game. He wasn't able to have Shakur Stevenson move forward, and the entire time he had to try and move forward to land the big shots. And I think that's what kind of went wrong. I think what Shakur kind of took away from Teo was those big counter shots that Teo was kind of used to. Like even against Arnold Barboza, what he did very well was land big counter shots when Arnold Barboza came forward, because Arnold Barboza, he's a pressured fighter, and he managed to duck and dodge and come out with his own counter shots. And I think that was very good from Teo in that fight with Arnold Barboza. Now, we're going to give 3 ways both fighters can do to come in this fight and win this fight. So, for Rolly Romero, at number 1, in my opinion, is the most important reason, is he needs to make Teo come forward. Now, what Shakur did, I think that Shakur and even Jermaine Ortiz kind of did, that I don't think that Rolly could do, that I think that Rolly could possibly do, but a little bit different, was that they would fight on their back foot to try and to just move backwards, move in circular directions. It wasn't trying to push forward to where Teo is good, because what Teo does is that he kind of tricks his opponents. He's when his opponents come out very aggressive, that gives them opportunities to land big counter shots. And I know Rolly does that, but against a guy like Teofimo Lopez, I think what he needs to do very well in the fight is that he needs to make Teo come to him. And I think it will be a very bad thing if Teofimo manages to try and close that gap, because I think that what Rolly Romero would try and do, I think that specifically Jermaine Ortiz couldn't do, was that when Teo came close. That he wasn't really landing big power shots. He was landing like kind of decent counter shots on him, but they weren't really putting much damage into Teofimo. Because I did think Jermaine Ortiz did win that fight against Teofimo, but I just think that he wasn't putting much power into his shots when he was fighting Teofimo. And I think that what Rolly's going to be able to do that Jermaine Ortiz couldn't do is land big power shots, because their styles are completely different. But I think Rolly Romero has the better power and the more powerful puncher than a guy like Jermaine Ortiz. And I think if he consistently makes Teo come forward and land big shots, he could possibly eventually drop him, possibly knock him out. Now, at number 2, I think what he needs to do is establish that jab and attack the body. I think even though I know Teo managed to dominate Arnold Barboza, one thing that Arnold Barboza did very well was establish that he did very well to kind of, hang around there with Teofimo was land big, powerful body shots. Well, for Arnold Barboza, he did have a pretty decent jab to land those powerful body shots, like that right uppercut and that left hook to the body. I think Teofimo definitely absorbs a big amount of body shots a lot, and I think if Rolly Romero can manage to establish, use that jab, come out with a right hand to the body, I see him coming out and slowing down the fight towards the later rounds, because Teo, he's a pretty explosive guy, and once you kind of take away those fast hands and that explosive and that explosive movement, I think Teo could definitely be very hittable. But Arnold Barboza, managed to land big shots towards the later rounds, but I think it wasn't really doing much, knowing that he already got dominated in those earlier rounds of the fight. Now, lastly, for number 2 for me, for number 3 for Rolly Romero, is make the power a threat, but do not go wild. One thing that he did against when he fought Gervonta Davis, when he fought Isaac Cruz, he was landing big power shots on both of them, specifically Gervonta Davis. But he kept just getting into wild exchanges. He sometimes does keep his chin up, and it opens him for big shots. And even though I know Teofimo hasn't really gotten a knockout in a while. And if you look at Devin Haney, when he was at 140, he wasn't consistently getting a bunch of knockouts. But then when he finally moved up to 147, he managed not to knock him out, but drop Brian Norman. And Brian Norman's no joke, guys. That's not easy dropping him, especially in the second round. And he kind of make it not look easy work, but it was a pretty dominant performance from Devin Haney. So I think that Teo has the advantage of, but I think what Rolly did good in that Ryan Garcia fight, that I think he needs to kind of do a similarity in this fight with Teo, is that he wasn't very aggressive. He was more technical and kind of was waiting for the right moments to land big shots on Ryan Garcia. He kind of would wait for him after he tried to reset and land big, heavy blows on Ryan Garcia. I think that he could most likely do, except that I think that Teo has a bit more of a faster reaction time than Ryan Garcia, just in my opinion. Now, 3 things I think that Teo needs to do coming into this fight is that, at number 1, the speed battle and use combinations. In my opinion, he has the faster hands, and he's majority overall the better boxer. What Teo does very well is that he has a good jab as well, good job with jab, and he has a good right hand as well. Both fighters have very good right hands. I just think that Rolly Romero's right hand is a bit more vicious and has a bit more power into it than what Teofimo has. But I think when it comes to clean, I think both are very clean. But I think Teo knows how to make his right hand very clean by setting it up behind with some jabs and landing that big right hand. And he's very explosive too. Even against Barboza, he managed to be very explosive, and it was kind of affecting Barboza a lot in that fight. Number 2, he needs to counter Rolly when he gets out of position. Rolly, he knows how to land big combinations, but once he kind of gets but sometimes he kind of gets a little bit too squared up and gets out of position. And that's something that Isaac Cruz managed to implement in their fight. Not saying that Teo hits harder than Isaac Cruz, but I think he's a bit more of the accurate puncher than Pitbull Cruz. I think Pitbull Cruz is very explosive, very aggressive. So I think if Rolly does manage to get out of position, which he kind of did a little bit in that fight with Ryan Garcia, it's kind of got better throughout the years. But I think if Teo does see, I think Teo could definitely come up with a big right hand follow up with a left hook that could possibly drop him. And that's the thing that concerns me is that, Rolly doesn't really have the greatest of a chin. But now, number 3 is don't fall into the trap of waiting. I feel like if Teo waits a little bit too long against Rolly Romero, I think Rolly Romero would eventually find out, use it, and follow up with big shots. Because that's something that you can't do against a guy like Rolly Romero. I think that's something that Garcia did bad, was that he was kind of waiting a little bit too long. I feel like even in their fight, there was opportunities for Garcia to strike, and I feel like he kind of did it, but yet again, Garcia was very hurt. So that's the thing that I think that Teo needs to be cautious of, is that he's moving up a whole weight class, facing the hardest hitter at 147. And listen, you could definitely train for it, but like it's just Rolly, he doesn't, back down on his power. He kind of just goes out there and just the entire time lands big shots. Even his power jab probably hurts you a lot too. So those are the 3 ways both fighters can do to win this fight. But who do I got for this fight? I got Rolly. I'm going with the underdog, guys. Rolly Romero by knockout. I think how I see this fight playing out is like the first 3 to 4 rounds, maybe even 5. I think Teo definitely has the better success. I think towards that later rounds, I think the power is when Rolly's going to start landing big power shots, and I think that's when it's going to start to affect Teofimo very bad in the fight. And I think eventually he's going to get knocked out or possibly have the ref stop the fight. But I think what Teo needs to do is implement on that footwork and use that double jab to kind of keep Rolly Romero off you and avoid those big power shots. I just think that jab and that footwork is going to be gone. I think he's just going to land big body shots, big head shots. And I see Rolly Romero coming out on top. That's going to be the end of the video, you guys. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button. Turn on notifications when you guys do want to see when I upload new videos. Let me know in the comments down below if you got Rolly or Teo winning by knockout or decision. Let me know if you guys disagree with my pick. And I'll see you on the next one. I'm out.